What if I told you this was my office? A remote office perched on a ridge overlooking a lake filled with wild trout, deep in the Montana wilderness. It's completely off the grid, powered by the sun, connected by satellite, and surrounded by nothing but mountains, birds, and wildlife. Instead of traffic, I listen to birds singing. Instead of office buildings, I watch wildlife walk by. And if I'm unlucky, maybe a grizzly bear. And the best part, I work full time for Yeti. And this week, this is where I'll be working.
Come on inside. Check out my cute little studio.
You're on.
Here we are in the middle of nowhere, Montana, in grizzly country. And not gonna lie, keeping up with Paolo's lifestyle is pretty challenging when trying to work a full-time job. So, especially now that I've had what Paolo so lovingly calls bunion surgery, much nicer than bunion surgery. So, being comfortable while working remotely in environments like this has been quite a challenge. I went down to Baja to visit him this year, and it was quite uncomfortable bouncing around from spot to spot. So we kind of decided that the best way to make this work is to have a remote office.
And this is a remote office that we will be setting up. And it's all self-sustained, so it's got its own power. It's got solar and its own tent. And we will go into details on the tent because the tent is really the hero of this setup. And do I start talking about tents now?
I think that
Or
might
is
be
it
later.
That's later, huh? Okay.
Something I want to mention before we talk about the tents is that working from inside the camper wasn't ideal because Paolo was editing at the dinette area, and Paolo needs like 3 times the amount of space as a normal person.
True.
So I was sort of limited in where I could set up my work stuff.
So, can I talk about tents now?
Yes.
I have a confession. I am a tent nerd. I have a garage that probably a quarter of my garage is filled with tents. I have tents for boat trips. I have tents for winter hunting. I have spike tents for hunting. I have car camping tents. I have, what else? I have
Backpacking.
backpacking tents, pack rafting tents. I even have an inflatable tent, which is probably my most windproof tent. And however, with all the tents that I have, I didn't have a tent that worked as a remote office. So the things that Susie needed as a remote work tent was, first of all, a tent that she could stand in. She needed a tent that she could put a table in that was big enough for her laptop and any of her stuff. And in this case, for our 44 Magnum for the bears and the bear spray. And she needed a tent that there was enough space where she could walk around and move around. And a tent that was light enough if she's going to meet me somewhere where she flies. So we wanted a tent that was under 40 pounds, so she was not going to pay crazy oversized fees, not overdraft fees. And most importantly, we needed a tent that would withstand winds. We live and we camp in places where wind is a real deal. And in Baja, the winds are crazy. In Montana, everywhere we go, it's crazy windy. And we had an interesting experience on Susie's first hunting trip with me last fall. I was testing an REI tent, and it worked great until the wind came up. And we're talking probably 40 miles an hour winds, and the tent collapsed on us. And so I did what any photographer would do. I went out and I started taking videos of this dramatic moment, and Susie was not happy.
I was so mad.
So I had to stop filming her because she was giving me a really bad look and take care of things. But those are the things that we needed in the tent. And now, since I am a big tent geek and I've done a bunch of research, and I'm always looking at what people are using in the places that I go. This is how we came with the Springbar Outfitter, and we will be talking about in detail on what's everything about this tent. By the way, the tent is, how big is the tent?
9x7.
9x7. So if we didn't have to possibly put it on a plane, if we didn't travel on a boat, if we didn't need something smaller, we would probably have picked a slightly bigger tent because it probably will be tight. And this is our test because eventually we will take this whole setup to Mexico and test it in Mexico, where we'll be more long term. Right now we're here for 10 days, and so any mistake that we've made, we can change it, and we'll be talking about what worked and what didn't work. And hopefully everything will work because I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out. So here's the Springbar Outfitter, and it's definitely not a small tent. And the reason why it's not small is because of the fabric. You do not want a light fabric for your remote tent office because you are going to get a lot of rattling, and you want a fabric that actually holds the wind and doesn't move around too much. So that's why you've got a little bit of a hefty size here on the tent. When in Baja, I noticed two tents that most serious tent travelers in Baja used, and Baja is probably the harshest environment for tents. But the people who are serious about their tents in Baja, they either have a Springbar or they have a Kodiak canvas. And being the geek that I am, I spent more time researching the difference between the two, and I learned from a couple who's actually working remotely out of a Springbar, a bigger one than this one. And they explained to me that Springbar is actually the original design, and Kodiak canvas copied the design and made a China-made version of the Springbar. The two tents look very similar, but there are a lot of differences. One thing that was very important for us was the fact that Springbar does their pulls in aluminum, and that to us is very important because in Baja everything rusts, so having aluminum is very important. And the other thing that I really liked about Springbar is that they have tents in their repair shop that are 30 years old. And to me, that says something. And also the fact that they're still repairing 30-year-old tents and they stay behind their products. So to me, that was a big difference between the two that was very important. But now I think it's time to go and set up this beauty here and see how Susi office. And Susi is actually, she's right there sitting because her foot hurts. And we were chased by some animals here, and both dogs started barking. So we were like running around looking at what was the big crashing sound that we heard. So that's why the sun is going down, and we haven't finished this video. So we're gonna set this up, and we will be back.
I love this bag.
Come on inside. Check out my cute little studio.
Okay, so here we are in this adorable little office space, which I absolutely love. We have everything set up so far. We're going to test it out for a few days. I have my grizzly bear protection here, and side note, I'll be telling a funny little story about predators in this area later. There is a solar panel set up outside for my power supply. I have the dogs in here, even they love this space. I have the most incredible view I think that I've ever had while working before. And yeah, so I'm so excited to share with you guys how this setup all works out in a couple days. not sponsored by any of these products, but we will have links in the description in case you're interested in any of them. First of all, this tent has been wonderful. I love the size of this tent. I love the window. Paolo is going to go into more detail on the tent since he is the tent geek. I'll start with this laptop stand. This has been really, really nice. I love the height of this stand. You do have to be careful to buy one that fits the size of your laptop, and for me, this one has been perfect. I work for Yeti, and this is a Yeti laptop, so I won't really go into that. I did buy this monitor and stand, which I have loved. I'll show you how this works. It's powered entirely by the laptop, which is quite a cool feature. So you just unplug it there. It comes straight out of this stand. Normally I would unplug it here as well. And then this just folds. And there's a magnet here that keeps it nice and snug here. And then the whole thing goes into this sleeve here. And if you've seen our video, Pooping in the Desert, you know I love cute bags. And so I am so pleased with this cute bag that it all fits into so nicely. I will say the glass is a little bit glary, so I may end up investing in some kind of anti-glare for this. Onto this fan. This fan has been great. I love having this fan. It clips very sturdily onto the table. That said, the clip is a little challenging to open, but I like that because it does create such a sturdy connection to the table. Speaking of the table, I also have quite liked the table. I will say my favorite feature is the adjustable height of the legs. This is an uneven surface, so having the adjustable legs has been very important in creating a sturdy desktop. This chair has been wonderful. I find this chair to be so comfortable. It keeps me upright. It's not too loungy, but I also, I just find it very comfortable for me. Fortunately, I have not had to use my grizzly bear protection. That has been great. I will say last time we were here, we were standing around camp and I saw a mountain lion come down the hill and it was stalking us. I swear it was on a mission, this mountain lion. And so I told Paolo, and by the time Paolo looked up to see it, it was gone. It had gone back up and over the hill. So based on that, I wouldn't have been surprised if we'd seen other predators in this area.
We are racing against the big thunderstorm. It's thundering out there. You can see heavy rain. So hopefully we can do this before we get pummeled by the storm. But I wanted to talk about power. I brought this 500-watt power bank, and I was actually surprised how much power the computer, Starlink, and her little extra monitor used, because we managed to do it with this power bank, but we had to go from 100-watt solar panel, which is what I had brought for the trip, 100 watts foldable solar panel, but she was using so much power that I had to go up to a 220 watts panel, which was very surprising because this is a lot of power, and all she had was a computer, a laptop, and a monitor and Starlink. So we did have to use 220 watts, also because we've had a lot of days like today, which were overcast. So I would probably say that if you want to be safe, get a 1,000-watt power bank and get 200 watts solar panels. And then on cloudy days like that, you have a little bit of a buffer, and you get a little bit more of a charge with 200 watts. Oh, mosquitoes are like eating me alive. So anyways, 200 watts, 1,000 watts is what I would recommend. And if you decide to get the DJI, which I personally like, and for people who are not familiar with power banks, what's important about them is that you turn them on, and then you can turn on the AC. So you can have power for your Starlink, for your computer. Some of these power banks come with a cigarette lighter, like 12-volt adapter. And I think that would be a good thing to use if you want to use Starlink with a cigarette lighter adapter, which they make. And it's a little bit more efficient for the power if you go that way. Ouch, that hurt. So yeah, so that's the way it works. And this one is very simple. It has a couple of USB-C ports. It's got the regular USB ports here as well. And then this port here is a little bit of the annoying thing about DJI. DJI makes you buy this little thing, which I don't even know what it is, honestly. I don't know if it's something that controls the solar panel. It's like kind of like a solar controller, but you then have to have this connection, and that's what you will connect your solar panels to, and then you connect here, and you have your whole connection and all your power right here. And what's nice about this is that they give you 3 ports, so if you want to add solar panels, you can add solar panels. So that's, you know, pretty basic and pretty simple, and you'll have everything you need with this. If you need more than 2 outlets, you can get a power strip, and then you can have as much outlets as you want. And then Starlink uses a lot of power, and I do recommend getting the Starlink Mini because it uses about half the power of the Generation 3. And I have learned that the speed, oh my god, we are about to blow away here. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind, but we might have to run. All right, let's get really fast. So this one uses half the power as the Generation 3, and I've done some testing and I'm getting the same speed with the Mini. I don't know why, but I'm getting the same speed. And let's ask Susi how she did with the phone calls. Let's all right, we keep going. We'll keep going until we get pummeled. So I wanted to ask Susi how her phone calls and her video calls and all of that worked using the Starlink Mini.
Yeah, it all went great. All of my phone calls went great. I'm on multiple video calls every single day. And I do recall getting a weak connection signal message one time, but I was probably on a dozen at least video calls, and they all worked completely fine.
So Starlink Mini is my recommendation for all you guys in an RV that are remote working, or you new people who will start doing tent remote working after this video. I hope there will be many of you guys doing it. And now I'm gonna change the camera, and it's still not raining. It's crazy. And I am gonna talk about this incredible tent. And I'll be back. So the tent, I absolutely love the tent. I love the attention to details. You can tell that there's a lot of care in building these tents. We made a mistake. We just jumped into it and decided that we're gonna pitch this tent without reading instructions, without knowing how to do it. I've done so many tents. I'm just gonna figure it out. But this is a completely different tent, and I now understand why it's called a Springbar, because it has a spring bar and a completely different way of pitching a tent. So before you go, learn how to do it, watch videos so that you don't run around like we did trying to figure out how to do it. And for the future, I am going to color coordinate all the poles, because there is, I think, about 6 pieces, and let's see, 9 pieces. And then if you mix them all up together, you don't know where they go. So I will be color coordinating the poles so that it will be super fast. And I would say that once you know how to pitch it, what takes the longest is putting the pegs. And then once you put the pegs, it goes up in probably like a minute. Maybe a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. But super fast. And I thought the size was going to be tight for Susi, but I think the size was actually perfect. What do you think, Susi?
Yeah, the size was great.
Size was great. And I recommend going as small as you can, because a smaller tent will get moved by the wind a lot less. And so it has the same frame as the bigger tent, I think. I'm pretty sure it has the same frame, but the bigger frame is extended, the fabric is extended, and if you have windy day like we've had, the tent moves a lot more. But the more compact one, it's a lot more steady. I want to talk about the fabric. What makes this tent better than my other tents is the fabric. As you can see, is a thick fabric, and this is what does well in the wind. Is like you have just more heft, and that's very important for your semi-permanent office, because as you can see, once this zips up, it doesn't move as much as if you had a lightweight tent. It's got really nice door. At first I was like, oh, I wish I had a door in the back as well, but I actually like just having a window in the back. It's just simple. Susie still has a great view in the back, so having one door makes it more simple, less zippers to deal with, a better view because you don't have zippers in the middle. It just works out really, really well. Anything else, Susie, that you want to add about the tent that you liked? This guy has a very heavy duty floor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I really liked that.
Normally I put something underneath, but it was such a heavy duty floor that I decided to just kind of leave it like this for now. And probably in the future I will put something a little bit heavier on the bottom of it. But for this video I wanted to just keep it as is, just to be a little more authentic. The pegs systems are Astro. I know you wanna you get out of there. But I like these loops here. And another thing that is really nice about these tents is that there is a oh shoot, what is that? What is this? A wire? It's a rope. Okay.
And a wire.
A rope and a wire. All Astro has to be the dogs, both dogs. Come on, boys. But anyways, there is a rope that goes around the whole perimeter, which is the difference between this and the Kodiak canvas. The dogs are attacking us right now.
Pretty much.
I think they need to be fed, huh?
Yeah, they do.
So anyways, that makes it very sturdy and less prone to ripping if you have strong winds. Anyways, anything else, Susie, that you want to add about the tent? Oh yeah, this is actually another really nice little detail here. If you follow me inside, it has a really nice opening here for all your power. So I think Springbar wanted to make a remote office when they built this tent. So anyways, that's a joke. But yeah, this helps a lot for your power and your solar and everything that you want to do with power. Dun dun! She keeps filming here. All right, so that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure that you subscribe, because I was down there in the lake getting some incredible video for my next project, catching some large rainbow trout. This place is incredible. It's very special. Very few people come here because it's not easy to get here, and you gotta hike down, and it's a lot of work. But the trout are incredible. The place is spectacular. Even after the fire, we actually like it just as much. So anyways, thanks for watching. See you next.
The rain finally came, but we managed to get the tent down just in time.
It was a miracle.
If you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Or maybe you work remotely in wild places as well and have some suggestions or some funny stories. Please do share.